just love hearing this thing cold start now that I got it running. Sounds pretty nasty. Might be too loud now, but in this episode, guys, we're going to actually get this thing on the ground, try and dial in the suspension best we can. I'll probably get started first with doing a string alignment, just to try and make sure that this thing is somewhat square to begin with before using that other kit that I bought. So we're going to get right into it, and we'll get this thing, the wheels on, and get it on the ground. Probably adjust the coils first. Coilovers, I should say, thanks. Yeah, we'll get the wheels on and see how she stands. Alright, so I got the front coilovers adjusted to about where I want them. It's got a slight rake in the front, or towards the front. Basically, from this gap to this gap, there's about 3/4 of an inch difference on the rears than there is the front. Some of that, I like that. I would like to have it level. I think eventually I'm going to end up putting a 4-link rear suspension with coilovers, you know, in the rear, so I can get that down a little bit if I want. It actually went up just a little bit because when I had adjusted the pinion angle with some shims, so it went up just a little bit. I think it looks okay. You know, if I'm hauling anything, that's going to lower anyway, so there's a little extra room for hauling stuff, but we're going to try it where it is, and basically measuring off, you know, from the ground up to the fender here. Now your fender could be off a little bit, you know, height-wise from side to side, but for the most part they're pretty close in the center. I'm also measuring kind of the front frame rail just to see if that's just as level. And both measurements are right where I want them to be, or they're basically even. So it seems to be sitting pretty level in the front. And so got that figured out. When I did that too, I also disconnected, you can kind of see it down there maybe. I have the sway bar disconnected just so it's not trying to preload one side or the other as I'm adjusting it, so that way it's level. So I have that disconnected as I was doing that, and I'll hook that back up. And what I'm going to do next is I got to make some, I think I have some PVC pipe laying around where I can use that for my string alignment. And what I'm going to end up doing is making 2 PVC pipes that'll run in the front and the rear for my string, and then I'll run string along each side, basically just to try and get the wheels square to that. And then from there, then I'll actually put on that kit that I bought and try and align it that way. So there's plenty of other YouTube videos as far as if you want to see, you know, how to properly align a car with string and everything else. But the one thing with the string alignment is, as far as I know, you can't check caster on it. Now on this suspension, caster is basically built in. There is some play, you know, or area where you can move it forward or back, but for the most part the caster should be kind of built in, so hopefully that's right on and I won't have to adjust that, and it'll just be the camber and the toe. And right now I think both wheels are kind of towed. Yeah, both of them are towed out right now, so I know I'll have to bring them in a little bit. But so get into that, and I'll show you kind of how I'm setting up my string alignment here. I taped these 2 pipes together. I cut them at about 6.5 feet because the track width, you want a little extra on each end sticking out for the string and stuff. The pipe length itself doesn't necessarily matter, but where you cut it for the string to set inside does. You want that perfectly straight on that end, and then this end too. You want to make sure that's cut in line so they're the same distance, and then we can get that centered. So you can see I got the string all lined up here. I don't exactly have it dead center of the wheels or the hub. Could be a little bit lower, but my jack stand is all the way down. That'll get me pretty close though. But basically just measuring from here to the string on each side. So I'm in the center of the hub here. and you want to pick the same point, you know, on each wheel that you measure from. So I have it all even in the back and the front, and now basically we're just going to measure from the front of the rim and the back of the rim, and we'll get that squared and get that basically the toe just right. Like I said, the reason I wanted to do this is my toe could be, you know, with the steering wheel straight, and you know, both wheels could be aimed the same way. The toe in and toe out could be dead on. It's just that both wheels would be pointed at, you know, crooked. So I want to make sure they're straight before I adjust toe in and toe out on there. So we'll get those. Basically, we'll get the tie rods adjusted, is what I was trying to say there. So we'll get the steering wheel kind of shut and anchored so that doesn't move, and then we should be able to get these aligned and get it close. So I've got the wheels all adjusted as far as getting them just kind of square with the strings. I actually adjusted the toe so each side is in about a 1/16. The adjustment should be a 1/16 to an 1/8 is what they're calling for on the suspension. So I got each wheel kind of in about a 1/16 towed in. So overall that should be an 1/8. So I'm going to take the strings down, and then we're going to put on the 10 Holzen kit that I have, and then we're going to check caster, camber, and then also toe with that too, just to double check that. So this is the 10 Holzen alignment plates that I purchased. It basically comes with these two plates, the angle finder, and 2 tape measures, and some other parts that you got to put together here. But they work pretty slick. I've already kind of tried them out, and I do have some adjustment to do on the caster and the camber a little bit. But if you go to their website, which is alignmentinstructions.com, they have some very good videos to show you how to do this, and they're pretty easy, I guess. So as long as I'm doing it right, it's just a little bit of adjustment that I need to do. I did measure this caster is at 5 degrees, which I need to be between 4 and 7, and this one needs to be adjusted. The caster is only like 3.6, something like that, so I need to give it a little bit more caster. So what I'm going to do is, there's built-in washers on each side here, so I'm going to try and move the top control arm back. So I'm going to try and just remove one washer on the front and just move it to the back here, and or I could even move it to the other side, but I'm going to try and just move that back just a little bit, see how that affects it. The camber was actually, it says kind of from 0 to 5 degrees camber. I'm at like 0.45 degrees on each side, so both sides are pretty close to being the same. I might bring each one out just a little bit, and that would be by adjusting these links right here. So while I have it up in the air, kind of, or have the suspension unloaded, I'm going to try and just maybe give each one a half a turn and lengthen it a little bit and put it back together. So we'll do that quick and see how it goes. All right, I got the caster all adjusted on here. My alignment is basically done. I'll probably end up double checking it once I do a little road testing, or let the suspension settle just a little bit. Once I had adjusted that caster, it threw my camber and my toe off quite a bit on this wheel, so I had to readjust the toe. But the camber and everything seems to be good. Like I said, I'll double check that after a little bit of driving, but I think for the most part we're ready to road test it. It runs. I got all the fluids that I can think of checked and full. No leaks so far. I got pretty much the interior all buttoned back up, all the dash and everything back together. I'm going to have to double check to see if that speedometer is calibrated correctly and working. So we'll do that on the road test. But otherwise, yeah, I think we're ready to give her a little try and see what happens. All right, let's take this for a spin, guys. Still feels like there's a little bit of air in the hydraulic system for the power steering and stuff, but I'm sure that'll work itself out. Definitely Boogies. For some reason the speedometer's not working. I gotta figure out, I don't think I have it adjusted right. I knew how fast I was going, but seems to be shifting through the gears and everything like it's supposed to. My alignment seems to be okay. Go to this side, see if the steering wheel's pretty centered. Still got to figure out, you know, what temperature the fan should kick on and off. Seems to be running okay. It's not overheating yet or anything. Seems to ride pretty good. I know there's settings on the coilovers. There's 10 notches on the dial. I think I have them on the loosest setting right now. It seems to ride pretty good, so not exactly pushing it that hard either though. It's actually pretty quiet with the exhaust, except for when you really get on it. That's just pretty raspy. But all in all, yeah, it's not any louder than that small block was. I don't feel any vibrations. Brakes are a little stiffer than I thought they'd be, but they seem to be working fine. There too, I might have some air in the system, in the hydraulic boot, in the Hydro Boost. Definitely way peppier, way more sensitive, being electronic throttle than that small block was. I always want to say 302, but they're basically the same size displacement. We'll see if manual here works. Manual shifting, it still shifts on its own, but you can somewhat select it. All right, got the first drive out of the way. For the most part, it went excellent. I'm really happy with it. A lot of power, really fast. Still got some issues to work out with it though. Got to figure out why the speedometer isn't working. Whether that's the signal coming from the drive shaft or the adapter box. Also need to kind of look at the tune, I guess, or see if it still needs to be tuned some more, because it's just at idle or at really low input on the throttle. You can feel it buck a little bit. So I think that's just a tuning issue, so we'll have to probably get it tuned somehow. Also, I want to double check the alignment on it after kind of the first drive, and yeah, just make sure there's no leaks or anything like that. But for the most part, man, it's great. I'm happy with it. So I appreciate you guys sticking around for this build. It's been awesome so far. I really enjoyed doing all this work on this thing. I want to have this as a somewhat daily driver during the summer, so kind of work out all those issues. And honestly, I want to take it on Hot Rod Power Tour next year. So hoping for that. We'll see if it's in the area or somewhat close by. So, but until then, we're going to keep working on it, get all the bugs worked out, and we'll see you next time. All right, thanks.